All right, welcome to the PanOceania podcast. This is a talk show where we only discuss one faction from Infinity the Game, that is PanOceania and sectorials. I'm your host, VaulSC, and I'm joined by Masloo, Blind Crow, Eustach, Sneaky Snake. Boys, let's dive straight into it. Okay, so first up, they nerfed the Bulleteer. Points increase, and now they've done it again. The Peacemaker. We can all think of a whole lot of other profiles from other factions that could also use a points increase, but for some reason, Corvus Belli only have one faction in mind for the points hikes, don't they? How are we feeling?
They do. Well, so I'm just gonna be really quick about it. I thought that both Peacemaker and the Bullet were pretty shite before the update. The Bullet was on borderline playable, and the reason for that is that currently we are in very heavy hacking meta, and Bullet not only is hackable, but he also has a fat base, which makes it difficult to fit him. You know that plenty of complaints about bikes, how people can't sometimes fit S4s into their deployment, right? But they're talking about bikes that cost 6 points, not 20 or something. So I just don't really like bullet at all. I'd rather have camo. But now with the points hike, it's just ridiculous, right? You get the Hessa or camo HMG or anything else really for the point bracket. So bullet here is pretty much dead to me. It's for the Peacemaker. I always thought that basically it's a theory, but like Peacemaker is just a joke, really. If you go fast, then he's average. Like he can get some stuff on.
What about the rest of you guys? The rest of you guys thinking of like putting those into your list still, or not anymore?
I kind of used Peacemakers some time ago a lot, but I agree with Maso. There is a problem with them in like what he said about the Bulleteer. The same applies to Peacemaker. That his ass is fat, so he can be hit. And many people were talking, like I started not that long time ago, and many people were talking, oh, Peacemaker is great defensively. And yeah, they can be great defensively, but only if the table is perfect for them. And if it's not, you can't really fit it, and someone will just catch it in a combi rifle range, and it's gone. And so
I'm on the same page as everybody else. Like the Peacemaker was pretty bad beforehand, and he's still bad. I think he's probably like one of the most theory bait profiles in all of Pano. Like he's like on the surface, it's like, oh my gosh, it's basically a Moran. Then you actually play him like on a table, and you realize that it's like having a bike in the middle of the table that's also hackable. It's so bad. I don't think I've ever like been able to use it. Every single time I've taken a Peacemaker, it's just like gotten shot on the first turn, so it's like not worth it.
Are you going first a lot though, or are you going second a lot?
Depends what faction I'm playing, but like, I mean, Whip 12, I kind of just lose the lieutenant role a lot, and I also play Varuna. That's like the one I play the most probably. So I always want to go second because, like, why not? I mean, you got AVA 3 Helllots, might as well force people to overextend. So yeah.
Eustach, before the changes, were you putting them in your list quite a lot? Like, has anything changed for you?
Yeah, I used them a bit, and I thought they were okay. Like, also they're kind of an iconic part of PanOceania. But after the nerf, I kind of purged them from my lists because they were like on the verge of usability. Because for me, they're like a decent speed bump, I think. Because you need to go past two template bodies for the cost of one Peacemaker, which was in my mind made it worth the cost. But yeah, it sometimes happened that I just missed a line of fire because it's so fat and it just got shot off and didn't do any speed bump. But yeah, after the nerf, I removed them from my list.
Really? Is there anything in the faction that... sorry, were you going to say?
Yeah, I was saying about the speed bump part, right? So theoretically, it's 2 templates, right? But it's 2 templates for 20-something points, and every single warband costs 1/3 of it and just trades instantly with you, right? So whenever I play against Peacemakers, it's really...
Is there anything in the faction that does need a points increase or not? In Pano, like vanilla Pano? Anything?
I
I
don't
guess
know, like
if Tigbalang, if not need, but if Tigbalang were to be more expensive, I would still take
Still,
it.
okay, right.
yeah,
But let's not give
Trinitarians?
ideas to Corvus Belli.
yeah, like maybe Teutonic Knights and like Trinitarians are way a little bit undercosted.
Yeah, I think that Mind Layer
I mean,
Trinitarian, the specialist one, like it's pretty cheap. Like it's, yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
I mean, and just the normal like 23 point. I mean, it's the cheapest like hidden deployment specialist in the game. So also, it's in like one of the most questionable factions. So it's like whatever, I guess. It's not really breaking the game at all.
Yeah. All right, guys, how are you feeling about reinforcements? Like as a Pano player, just gonna put it out there.
I mean, I'm pretty happy. I don't know about you guys, but I think that like Pano is probably one of the only. It's one of the few like actions that actually I feel like feels pretty good about the reinforcements. Like we got Squalo Mark II in our reinforcement pool, and he can duo with the engineer, which is pretty great. And then I mean we also got the Aquila, and I think it's like kind of perfect for the Aquila because he can't get like guided missiled anymore. He can't get hacked, and then he can also come in at like kind of a perfect range band because beforehand he had 4/4 move and he kind of sucked because of it. But now he's like dropping in the midfield. So yeah, I mean that's kind of my feeling about our reinforcement pool at
Okay,
least.
weren't you saying that the Aquila is trash though? How did that change? First
Okay.
game of reinforcements in my life, I put Aquila, Sneaky just laughs it off and says Aquila is trash and makes a mockery of me. The Aquila comes in, shoots at Phoenix out of cover and dies. I mean, Phoenix was out of cover, not me. And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, the Aquila is trash. And
Yeah,
something
I don't
changed,
know
so
what
I
that-
figured, yeah.
Okay, so
What did
okay,
change?
Aquila is in theory a really great unit, but like for me personally, every single time I've taken the Aquila or somebody else I know have taken it, it just like dies first turn. I have no idea why, but
At least it only comes in turn 3
Right.
now.
yeah, exactly.
Hey, Eustach, you were telling me before we started the show that you've played a couple of games of reinforcements. What profiles are you putting in the reinforcement pool?
I'm doing the same thing Sneaky mentioned, that I'm taking the Squalo and doing it with the engineer.
The
But
NCO
it's kind of
Swallow?
weird because yeah, the NCO Squalo. So it's only 2 troop slots used, and it's 6 orders when you transfer the comlink if it's alive. So that's like a nice, and it has specialists. It can kill. It's more of an active reinforcement thing than like a slowdown. Like the other factions get like nasty templates and stuff. We don't really. So our reinforcements, I think, should be more active focused. But yeah, the awkward thing about this is that it floats 13 points out of 100 available because there's no filler unit.
That's something I found really weird about reinforcements is that like there are some units that just mathematically just prevent you from using the full 100 points. Like Maximus in left, not the word. We're getting off topic anyway. Hey, Blanker, what about you? Are you putting the same stuff in your reinforcements
I
as
mean,
well?
you can always take the marksman rifle squall, right? Then Agnes fits.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I was looking at it. Yeah, and the Squalo plus the engineer. That seems to be really good. Especially also in military orders, you get NCO can use 1 more lieutenant order. So
Well,
I
also
guess that counts for something.
the great part about that duo too is like I know it sounds weird, but by not taking that extra 13 points, actually helps you bring in like reinforcements faster. I mean, which like I guess you could say it's like kind of a waste of 13 points, but also does help you. It does like help you be able to bring in your reinforcements faster because they might not know that you're missing those 13 points. So I don't
You
know.
No,
start.
That sounds like
do know,
Bob Copio,
because
right? I mean,
No, that for me that does not change anything. 13 points. I should have played like 150 points to get reinforcements before turn 3.
You know.
Okay, so yeah, for first place second about. So basically, first point that I would like to address is that Squalo. I run Squalo in my Varuna, but that's only because I have 2 slots. If I had more slots, I would never take the Squalo. I think this is such a waste. Like, you bring a tag that has no templates, basically into a midfield, so you just ask to be hacked, to be close combated, to be emaraded, all of this shit. And at the end of the day, it's BS15 AP Spitfire that might even not win those face-to-face rolls, right? So compare the reinforcements of Pano to like other factions. For example, the Ariana drops a Durok at the midfield, drops an Apache and a Beast Hunter. Durok uses his Impetuous, drops 2 chain templates, explodes, okay? You can convert his irregular orders still because he died in Impetuous. You can YOLO Beast Hunter, pretty much like 2 orders into close combat. You can eat an Apache, draw 3 templates. And basically all of them, whenever the reinforcements come in, they create a very huge swing, right? All of the factions create extreme tempo. And PanOceania reinforcement, you just drop in, you throw some more dices. Sure, if you get lucky on the first go, that's okay. But you can just as well whiff or not kill the enemy opponent. And they don't provide a lot in terms of reactive potential, right? Every other faction, if they don't kill you right now, they still are like blocker with a template. And PanOceania doesn't even have fucking templates. So yeah, overall I'm extremely disappointed in the PanOceania reinforcements, like the new profiles. The only stuff that I would really bring is because I have to. I would really prefer not to have those reinforcements, but I like the reinforcements as a mode generally. The reinforcements that I'm running is usually either the Aquila Harris, if I need an MSV3, because sometimes you just need this extra multispectral visor in the end game to like try shoot at Phoenix, right? And explode. But yeah, generally I try to take as least amount of reinforcements as possible. So either the Aquila Harris or the Squall. And if I had a choice, I would probably not bring them. Just for a second, think what could be if instead of a blockers we got an Auxilias, or like anything with Aux.
That would be cool.
Right? Why can't we bring an Auxilias in, right?
Yeah, because other factions got similar stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, like everyone has a bunch of templates, right? And it grinds my gears that the only NCO profile we have is a fucking Squalo, while Ariadne has like 3 NCO options. Like Biscard, Paracommando, and the named guy, basically, the name Biscard. And I think even Loop Garus, like million NCO options. Everyone has million tactical awareness, but we got an SMG 23 points guy. Like, what is this shit? Like, if he would be in any other faction, he would be 15 points, right? So why does he cost 24 points to get an SMG minus 3 mimetism and tactical awareness?
That's the Blade Ops guy, right?
Yeah, the Blade Ops, yes, exactly. So the Blade Ops is so infuriating because he's very bad, but you have to take him because of the restraints of the format, right? You don't have enough slots and he provides 2 orders. But at this point in time, if you compare him to a Pathfinder, this is just laughable, right? You get 9 points more for as worse weapon, basically, and lower willpower. And he has SMG with BS attack shock. I don't understand why they would put it, other than just increase his cost for no apparent reason.
You can AP shock if you want to.
Wow. Okay, so who do I want to AP shock, right? And final point, blocker. I don't think there's a worse profile in the game. I literally don't. You have a guy that has adhesive launcher +1 burst, and an X visor, and a biometric visor. So first of all, biometric visor just doesn't work. If he drops in turn 3, then there are no impersonators on board. Why would you need this? The X visor for adhesive launcher means that he can shoot outside of 16 inches with an adhesive launcher, or even a pistol. But why would you shoot outside of 16 inches with this guy? And the sensor is the only saving grace of this guy, but you have a Pathfinder that costs the same. And like everyone gets like 3 chain rifles, 3 shotgun templates, and you get 2 nanopulsers.
Objection. Pathfinder is 17 points.
Oh, shoot.
Fair.
Multi-rifle. What do you guys think of the multi-rifle Pathfinder? They went up a point for a multi-rifle.
I think this is another spit in the face, because every other faction got another profile for the sensor bot, but they got to keep the cheaper version, basically. Yeah. So if you go for like Eugene reinforcements, If you could bring it up on screen, Vaul, really quickly.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, just really
Let's
quickly
go,
bring the
so
reinforcements, and it's
yeah, no worries. Share
way
screen.
big, basically.
Go live.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I mean, the multi-rifle is like okay with Takamoto's.
are you talking about Yuching
Waving
reinforcements?
Yaogong. Yeah, the raging reinforcements is like waving Yaogong, right?
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, I've shared it.
Don't
shared
show
it.
me don't show me the
Ah.
Eugene ones. You're gonna make me so sad.
So-
15 for the combi rifle, 17 for the combi +1 damage. That's what we're
The
looking
point
at?
is that yes, exactly. The point is they got a new profile for the sensor bot, but they get to keep their old, right? If they want if they want to go for a cheaper version, basically. And PanOceania does not, right? If you would go for like combined army, that's the same case. They also have M-Drone cheap version and M-Drone with banana screen. And I think it's true for every faction except for PanOceania. So I think this is just another spit in the face, basically.
All right. Well, coming to you guys, let's come around to Sneaky because I saw you had some stuff to say. Feel free to respond to what was just said there, but I'm also interested to hear on sort of like what were you hoping for though? Like what would have been like a good like set of reinforcement profiles for Pano?
Man, I mean, from NCA, I don't know. Like, they probably got the best stuff from NCA, but like the best stuff from NCA is pretty trash. Not gonna lie. I don't know. Like, I mean, I totally agree with Masloo. Like, it's all, like, yeah. I mean, one of the weaknesses of like Pano was always like, I mean, it's still a weakness, but it's like if you lose a few gunfights, you're kind of just out of the game. Like other factions don't have to worry about that because they have like, oh, like you lose some gunfights, oh well, you can like hack or you can smoke or you have some like sort of 20-point specialist with decharges. But like for Pano, that's never an option. So it's like, okay, the nice part about reinforcements is you can drop in some extra SWIC and you've got like extra gunfighters and stuff. But I mean, I guess like I hadn't really thought about it, but really like I guess Pano does have like some of the worst like reinforcements. I mean, blockers are pretty bad. The only like really good ones that stand out to me are like Aquila and like maybe Squalos, but I don't know.
Blind Crow, just gonna come around to Blind Crow and Eustach. We'll start with Blind Crow. Any profiles from the reinforcements that you find interesting that we haven't talked about already, or any other thoughts about what Masloo said before about the restrictions?
My absolute favorite is that they gave a sword to a Swiss guard, right? Now he can actually hit someone with his sword, and that profile, is also so very good at close combat. Unbelievable. Like, what were they thinking, really?
Eustach?
Yeah, they made him bad. Instead of absolute trash, they made him just bad. Great improvement.
I'm not sure what would be the use case of this guy. Not a specialist.
I think the only use for this guy is to drop him in as a brick, suppressive fire with him as a part of coordinated, and let him die, soaking orders.
I'm going to come around to Eustach. I haven't heard from you for a bit. Any thoughts on what the guys have been talking about, or any other profiles we haven't sort of talked about so far in the Pano lineup?
I'd like to talk about blockers still because
okay.
Well, they do have like a lot of stuff, and it adds up to kind of an awkward profile. But there are some good things about it.
Do you prefer the 16-point guy or the 21-point guy, the hacker?
Both. I mean, dropping a not super expensive hacker specialist could be useful for some missions. And did you mention that the multi-pistol is burst 4 and X visor? It kind of becomes like a gun down weapon with.
But he does have burst 3 only. Pistols are 2 plus 1 is 3. So has 3 dices.
But it's still with X visor and BS attack plus 1. It's like almost like a multi-rifle kind of thing.
Excellent. 21
no, it is not because it is not because you have 0 range up to 24, and that's your maximum range basically.
It's worse because I think it's -3. because it goes to minus 6,
24.
right? But
No, up to 16 you are zeros anyway.
yeah.
So at this point in time, this is like SMG. This is exactly an SMG. It works exactly like SMG. But SMG is not really a good weapon on a guy that has no mods, basically. And since when 21 points for a hacker is cheap?
Speaking of that adhesive
Since they're in
launcher, I was
Pano.
playing against Starmada the other day, and apparently Starmada has like a burst 4 adhesive launcher or something like that. Is that right? I know they have one
I
guy.
don't know.
It's just crazy. But anyway, yeah, you guys have convinced me. It doesn't look like a massive profile. I'm just going to move things on a little bit. So for me personally, the way that I play reinforcements is that I play Aleph, and my list is Atalanta, Macaon, Penthesilea, 2 diggers, posthumans, and a bunch of crap. And then my group 2 is just like 5 guys. And my plan is just to go second no matter what. Lose the dice roll, win the dice roll, second turn. And I'm just going to stall you forever and bring in my guys in turn 3. So starting with Blind Crow, like, how would you beat that?
Oh, man. Yeah. I guess normally, like, take attack, shoot Atalanta, right? That's the first. That's why you take tags, right?
Sure.
And then, I don't know.
Use the Peacemaker, right? Just movement.
Yeah,
Sneaky, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think like Blanca is kind of right. Like, Pano kind of sucks at attacking. Like, we have. It's just there's so many issues. It's like, okay, your tags usually can't like just run up to the DZ and start shooting stuff. I mean, like, the tick obviously can because he's got C+. But like most of your tags are pretty limited to like long range. Then anything else that like wants to do a lot of damage in the DZ is usually hackable. So you have to like also bring a killer hacker, and then sometimes your killer hackers just die, and then you're just like, well, there's no way for me to attack you anymore. So yeah, they're pretty. It's pretty rough. Like, it's pretty rough right now. I mean, I don't know.
I
Enforcements
guess
have
Zulu
like
Cobra
kinda
can do
helped,
nice
but
things.
yeah, the Zulu Cobra certainly. I mean, I know Masloo has like, he's definitely convinced me to bring like a lot more of them in Varuna, but at the end of the day, there's still 1 wound guys who can die to a mine or get templated. Then they also cost like 30 points. So yeah, I don't know.
What's the power ranking for the sectorials right now? So MO, Acontecimento, NCA, Varuna. Which one's strongest? Which one's weakest? I know Maslow's got an opinion about this.
Masloo.
Okay, so I would for the generally sectorial and vanilla, I would rank military orders as the best one out of the bunch. And basically, really a quick explanation. Military orders gets the most amount of broken profiles Pano really has. They have Teutons, Trinitarians, Dart, and Tigbalang, and that's pretty much it. You can create a really good list with them. But it's kind of tougher in reinforcements meta because you have to throw away a lot of basically extra orders because of all of your stuff that you want to take clocks in at somewhere like 50, and you cannot really fill your list. So might shake things up in reinforcements meta. Second would be probably Varuna because you have basically also the second amount of broken profiles, which is very good skirmishers, really good midfield, very good staying power, basically. And they play extremely good into guided matchup because all of your stuff is either super cheap, under camo, or like a sniper rifle that's in the back of your deployment zone. Then it would probably be Vanilla Pano, simply because they bring the third amount of bullshit, which is Joan plus a bunch of mechs. And that would probably be my third option. And then I would probably go for Svalheim, Shock Army, and then NCA. The reason for that is that Svalheim just does not really have any. Svalheim is pretty much just Karhu, right? Karhu is really good, but he can't carry the sectorial on his back. Everything else, except for like Fusiliers, is pretty shit in Svalheim. Maybe like few cherry picks you could get, like a Varg sensor is probably okay. Then Shock Army generally is like pretty much what Sneaky says, master of jack of non trades, master of none, pretty much. Like they don't do anything exceptionally well, which means they really fall behind against every other army. It's like Shock Army feels to me like Hack Islam. They lose at shooting. Okay, so if they play against someone that shoots, they lose to shooting. If they play against someone who hacks, they lose to hacking. If they play against someone who plays very much aggro, they lose to aggro. Like they always will be a field that they will beat in on. And I think that's generally my gripe with Shock Army. And the argument that they have a lot of mine layers, well, then just the enemy might not attack our deployment zone. They know where the mines are. Why would they enter the mines? And a lot of very super powerful attackers, like Steel Phalanx Wabans or Bears or in person should they? I mean, in person maybe, but generally like Bears and Steel Phalanx Warbirds, they don't care about mines at all. The Ajax will dodge them on 16s. Who cares about those mines? And NCA generally, the NCA does not have specialists. It very much struggles in terms of missions, and is extremely vulnerable to hacking meta because all of your good stuff is hackable. All of your good stuff just dies to a guided. And like to sum it up, my worst experience in Infinity in the last few years was me playing near NCA in the Russian league. Like 5 games on TTS, exactly. No, right. No, I didn't travel to Russia to play a league.
You never know.
I mean, I'm hardcore, but I'm not that desperate because it would take like a month of Russia stay. Anyways, back to the topic. I played 5 games, and one was against Meteores, and then 4 times in a row I played against Combined Army on Anathematic, Bid and Kiss, and I always went second. And I out of 4 games combined, I played like 6 turns, I think.
Because they just guided you and destroyed you?
Yeah. But basically, pitcher guided, Aquila is dead. Pitcher guided, Orc is dead. Pitcher guided, half of my bolt core is dead. Then it's my turn, and I can't really go into their deployment because everything is either a repeater or a taiga. And I just walk into a repeater. I try to kill the anathematic with a guard, and I don't succeed. And he next turn he just isolates me, spotlights guided me, and it's that game.
Yeah.
The furthest I got was like to turn 3, I think, or I turn 2. No, sorry, turn 2. Yeah, and then he guided the rest of my list.
Yeah. Okay.
I definitely agree with that. Like, he's spot on about MO. Personally, I wouldn't. Okay, I guess when he's talking about MO like that, I definitely would rank it number 1. Personally, I hate playing MO like that because I like using my knight models, but the problem is like he's like
the coolest
like
models
saying,
are the worst.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really use like your Knight of Justice, your Hospitalers. Like you're really just stuck to
Knight of Justice
Teutons plus. Oh man, don't even get me started. You're really just stuck to Teutons and the Tick Belong because it's like one of the best tags in the game. Then you've got your Trinitarians, obviously, who are super great. But after that, it's like the sectorial kind of runs dry. And then also he was kind of spot on with like NCA is a perfect example of like how Pano can be like the best at shooting, but at the end of the day, it's like it only gets you so far. I mean, a bolt on 16s is really great, but you roll like a 1 in a 20 and then you're done, and you just lost like 30 points in a chunk of your swing.
Not very forgiving.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why he's definitely right about like Varuna. Varuna is super great because they're probably the only faction that has like a lot of mimetism, and that really gives you a huge edge. Like that's why Steel Phalanx is one of the worst factions to play against because they just got like mimetism up the wazoo, and it's so hard to shoot them. And then and Pano usually doesn't have a lot of mimetism, so Varuna kind of gives you that edge. Shock Army is probably the only one I like slightly disagree with. So he's definitely right. Like they're one of the ones that are worse at attacking, because Nagas are super expensive. You get Dart, but you only get 1 Dart. And then you obviously get Montesas, but like I don't know, Montesas are fine, but they're hackable, you know. So it's really hard to get them to the DZ. You get the worst tick. It's basically not usable because it doesn't have AP. And then the Dragos is obviously a great tag, but you know, it's not going to be like running around in the DZ killing stuff because it's got an HRMC. And then
Yeah, if you want to
he's
use
ready.
Dragos, take Vanilla.
Yeah, exactly. Like why even take it in Shock Army?
I've
And
never
then
even seen it on the table in
Svarheim,
N4.
yeah, I mean because you know in vanilla you can just take like any other tag. Like you could just take the cutter, who's a lot better. Um, and then the last one, Arheim, he's totally right. Like Karhu's your best profile. Your tag auctions just really suck. Like, oh my gosh, Yodam is like what 87 points just for the gimmick of having armor 10. It's like the most mid tag in the game probably. So yeah. What I mean,
There's a
what
lot
do
of AP in the game at the
you
moment.
guys think? Yeah, exactly. So it's like you basically just have armor 5. What do you do?
We're just going to move on. I'm going to come back to Eustach, and then we're going to go to Blind Crow. So just coming back to list building and the stuff that you're looking forward to playing, looking forward to taking. We've talked about reinforcements. In the sort of post-reinforcements kind of era that we're moving into, the new meta we're going into, what do you actually put in the main list? Are you running like limited insertion 10 guys? You're running 30? I think you guys said you're running like only 2, Squallow and Engineer. So the other 13 people, what Harris's and teams you're running in the sectorials, and what sort of like are the main key pieces for your vanilla lists? What are you looking forward to sort of trying out? We'll start with Eustach.
Okay, so actually it's 14 guys because we get the comlink +1.
Right.
So I go for like the bare minimum troopers used for reinforcement. That's I think an advantage of the Squallow NCO, that you can put like 3 orders but only use up 1 troop slot. And then I go for like a spammy kind of, well, you know, it's as spammy as it can get in reinforcements kind of list for the main 2 groups. Lots of like mercenaries with templates, so diggers, motorized bounty hunters, maybe like some mine layers from Acontequimento. Just, you know, speed bumps. It was the stuff that used to be the Peacemaker's role sometimes. And this is used to protect a tag in the main list. In the main group with all the orders, it's either a Dragao or a Squallow 2, and I tried those 2 thus far in the reinforcements. But you know, it could be a cutter, it could be the weaker Tikbalang if I'm like not accepting the lack of AP. Yeah, my lists are usually like that.
Yeah. And Blind Crow?
Yeah, for some time I've been sticking to Varuna, and because I generally agree with what Masloo has been ordering, except that it's, you know, even if MO can be better, it's just I find it much easier to play Varuna. It's all you can think less when deploying. You need to be very careful with deployment. Well, at least I need to. MO, whereas, you know, Varuna has all those speed bumps, you know, heal lots and so on. So it's much less vulnerable. At least I find it so. And not that much change with Varuna. You know, we take the fire team core with Fusiliers and Kamau, and then you add either a tag in one list. I mean, of course, you take it, and then maybe in a second list, if you play without a tag, you know, many Zulu Cobras, and or a second Harris, and you go with that, and that's very, you know, that's short. That's
Eustach was saying
so.
that he's still running the Diggers and the Motorized Bounty Hunter, which, I mean, I'd probably run them as well if I was a Pano player. Are the rest of you guys using those profiles as well?
They're unavailable in sectorials, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But vanilla, I mean.
I don't
yeah,
play
for sure.
vanilla. I don't play
Like,
vanilla.
definitely. Yeah, I know my brother plays. He's probably like the only person who plays vanilla Pano a lot. But I know he takes them like all the time. He usually takes 2 motorized bounty hunters, and I think he takes like 1 digger. I mean, obviously, like why not? They're so good for their point cost. Oh, and then Beast Hunters obviously too. Like
There's not a lot of broken
17
profiles to choose from, so you got to get them from somewhere, right?
exactly. So
Yeah.
That's
all
the
right.
trick to list building.
What, guys, so like Pano, I think we can agree, like the Pano and sectorials, not exactly S tier at the moment. I think there are other factions that are right. Reinforcements maybe has changed some things. I'm not sure. I mean, to me, it feels like Ariadne and Nomads, like they're still up there. Pano, Steel Phalanx, like they're gonna be loving this this change. Like, what does Pano need to get to that same level? Like, for you to feel like you're on an absolutely level playing field as the number one factions right now. What buffs like would Pano really need to achieve that?
Well, I will not point out some specific buffs, but the general thing, the first thing that maybe Corvus Belli would need to think that I would expect them to sit down and just think about it. Like, do they actually have any idea for Pano, or are they just throwing some stuff here
Right,
and
more
there
of a plan,
without
you're
any
saying.
thought for the any plan for the faction,
More
like
design
a
philosophy.
general
Yeah, I feel what you're saying.
coherent thought. What do we want this faction to do? I don't see that. They're just throwing stuff randomly for us. And some of it works because it's good. Some of it, is shit. And then they increase points. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think the pretty obvious one is like giving Pano smoke or eclipse would be pretty massive. That would definitely make them a lot more playable and serviceable because as it stands right now, it's basically win your first 3 gunfights or shake hands with your opponent. Like if your ag dies from some like random missile launcher, it's possible that you just don't get to play the rest of the game. So it kind of sucks, but like that's just the price of playing Pano. You have the best guns in the game, but at the same time, if you lose your face to faces and you get unlucky, you can't like get out of your DZ and you can't play the mission. So I think smoke or like eclipse, like something as basic as like a Fusilier, or maybe like some new robot, some new rem that they get can throw smoke or eclipse would be pretty great.
I'm just gonna run something past you. Oh, you go.
Yeah, I think it would be also bad if we received, an impetuous warband there with a template good at CC that also has a smoke like everyone else. Like there should be something different from other factions. So I'm not expecting to be everyone the same.
If I do another a custom league, and I'm not saying I am, I probably won't, but one of the changes I would make is that if you have MSV2, you can actually see through Eclipse Smoke with a -6 penalty, and if you have MSV3, you just completely ignore Eclipse Smoke. Do you think that would be fair?
I think that's very much necessary because at this point, Eclipse Smoke is just way too powerful. Like even if you have an Eudorus out of cover or like Macaon, you shoot him with an Aquila. You stack as like those are the best odds that you can possibly get, and he can still high roll the smoke, and there's nothing you can do. Just really quickly about the topic, I think pretty much what guys said, like Sneak is net. The Pano's biggest problem is that you can very much get locked out of the game if you get unlucky a few times. And it's even more than that. Sometimes you don't even have to get unlucky. Sometimes there are gunfights that you would never want to take. For example, like Atalanta, it's always dicey even with a tag. And it would be nice to have an option to, actually get out of your deployment zone and press a button. But generally, I feel like my idea about PanOceania is completely different. Basically, I think there's big mixed conception about what Pano is to the Corvus Belli and maybe to some beginner players, because very, very broadly, PanOceania is supposedly this elite faction that has those powerful models like Aquila, Swiss Guard, well, maybe or not orc troops, but generally all of the guards, all of the knights, all of that is like super elite, expensive stuff. And I think Corvus Belli thinks that this is the way that Pano should be played, and with tags. And I actually think quite the opposite. And I think the biggest strength of Pano lies in the line infantry and the skirmishers, in like 20, 30 points margin, right? That's like my doctrine for PanOceania. I myself don't really play tags, and I don't really play elite gunfighters. I'm coming from N3, where it was very common to play 21 orders NCA with like 3 hexas, 5 fusiliers, and bunch of auxiliaries. And that was the meta. So yeah, I think what would really help outside of smoke would be just visiting some of the more elite profiles and giving them some love. Because as it stands, if you compare the heavy infantry from Pano to like Eugene heavy infantry, or like no even Nomad heavy infantry, there's extreme disparity. So I would really, outside of like smoke and eclipse, which is quite obvious, I would sprinkle some templates here and there, some more efficiency tools. For example, like tactical awareness on the Aquila, or like NCO on the Aquila. Maybe not to exactly mimic the Eugene heavy infantry. Let's make them better, because they can be 6'2". They have extra dodge. Like they are in lore, they are much more mobile, so it's okay that they have that. But PanOceania should get some tools to like be more efficient with the orders, and pretty much the templates. I think this is the thing that keeps the PanOceania the most out of the game is the lack of templates. Right, Varuna has absolutely no templates. NCA outside of Auxilias has no templates. Shock Army does not have templates, just does almost like at all. And you never want to trade your 30-point skirmisher with a shotgun against like anyone, basically. So I think it would very much need, for example, let's pretend that Patsy had a nanopulsar, right? Or like Anakila had a nanopulsar. This would go miles in making them more viable as an option. Because as it stands, the Aquila just dies to like Galvesian that has APCCW, right? He will take 3 or 4 orders. Even a Taiga kills Aquila at this point in time. Because if you don't kill it with a face-to-face pistol, then you're stuck in CC, and you're gonna lose it 9 out of 10 times, because you basically shit at CC. And if you had a nanopulsar, at worst you would get 1 extra order out of the Taiga, and at best you just kill it and just not die, right? If a Specula or a Fidei enters an Aquila, he can just nag him for like 3 or 4 orders, he will kill him. But you can't enter against a Shank Jesus or like Haktao or like Xian, because he will just get templated, right? It's not worth to like send an Uxia after Shank Jesus, for example, because you might not kill it and you're definitely dying to a chain cult, right? So that's my main idea about how to improve Pano, would be to just give templates. For example, Santiago Knight has a nanopulsar, he's good, right? Hospitalier does not have a nanopulsar, he's not good. It's simple as that, I think.
I mean, definitely building off of like what he's saying. I mean, that's why the cutter is like one of the best tags in the game, is because like, while it doesn't have a template, like he was talking about how it's one of the rough parts about Pano is you're super vulnerable to like warbands, because I don't know why, but for some reason in a shooting game, CC is like one of the best attributes right now. So that's something that like Pano really sucks against, is you have no templates, so warbands basically just walk into your DZ for free essentially, and then you're kind of just left with like, well, how do I deal with this, because I can't template it, I can't CC it because I have no CC specialists. So my tag is just stuck in CC for the rest of the game. Oh well, unlucky. Yeah, I mean, he pretty much nailed it. Like, we really need templates because we have none, and templates offer like a really interesting dynamic to the game, I guess. So at least they help you play the game a little bit more. So,
what about Blind Crow, Eustach? What do you guys think about that?
I agree with the increase of templates. It's a big vulnerability, especially of the sectorials. Vanilla kind of lets you play around it by taking the OP mercs with templates. I don't think I'd like it to become like a generic faction with the smoke. It's kind of part of the iconic PanOceania feel, is that you have to smash through your opposition and not like sneak by, I think. But the templates definitely an issue for the sectorials.
Okay, but you can also take like you can take very spicy chili and rub it into your eyes, and you also get this feeling of like uniqueness. Why is this even
Where did that come from?
Why is this a thing? Like, I know that there are some people that take pleasure from masochistic activities, and it's all fine by me.
Yeah, they're
I'm
called
not
Pano
king
players.
shaming them.
They're kind of
Yeah, but
competitive
I don't
tabletop
understand where is it coming from that supposedly this is such a unique feature, right? It's like saying, oh, I don't have any good gun. I don't have any HMG or long range gun. I guess it's just a feature of Assassin Baram. No one says that. Everyone perceives it as a clear weakness. This is not a feature. This is a fucking weakness, and this is just something that stayed from like N2, and this is pretty much how out of touch Corvus Belli is, because the reason PanOceania does not have smoke is they believe that MSV plus smoke in PanOceania would be busted, but they forget that the power craft, they went way overboard with it, and we were just left out to dry. This is not an intended feature. This is just an oversight from the Corvus Belli. There's no real thing about it. There's absolutely zero sense why number one military faction would not have smoke. Can you imagine United States forces like attacking Iraq without smoke grenades? Because they are stronger. Yeah, they are good at shooting. They're better at shooting than like Iraqis, right? Let's do an Operation Desert Storm without smoke grenades. Who the fuck does that? No one does that.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I feel like Pano really suffers from like N3. Like you can definitely see that N3 design philosophy. I mean, I guess in N2 too. It's like it just feels like they're not an evolved faction. Like everybody else has gotten like new tools and stuff over the years, and like I mean, Nomads used to be like the hacking faction, but now they shoot like just as good as almost. So it's like.
Yeah, but at the same time, other factions.
Is that a good thing that the factions are all converging on this one?
No, it's not.
Something that does everything.
No, it's not. But also, like, well, I mean, would you rather just Pano be bad forever or like, be a playable faction? I mean, I don't know. It's really like, I guess it's up to us, but yeah.
Let me just run something past you before we finish up. So I have a few ideas of things that I would add to the game that would make PanOceania more appealing for me personally as a player, and I want to tell you what the ideas are. So number one, if you think about how symbiomates work, where they make you armor 9 with total immunity for one hit, imagine if Pano had a piece of gear that did that, but only against direct templates. So if you get hit by a combi rifle, it doesn't work, but against a chain rifle, your armor 9 total immunity, but it never goes away. But because it's a very powerful piece of equipment, you only give it to some of the crappy heavy infantry profiles. So imagine you've got an orc with a combi rifle, but he's got that ability. Then suddenly you send a Harris of those guys, you're straight into Ariadna. They actually do really, really well, so it makes it quite of an interesting attack, but it's not completely overpowered, because if you go too far in there, you're still in a lot of danger. Second idea I had is that what if there was a 10 bot that made you immune to hacking completely, like unhackable, but only the first game round, in the same way that the Albedo works. So you've got your Hospitalia Knights, but Nomads can't hack them, so you can go straight past the Moran and actually do a bit of damage to Nomads, and if you play well enough, you might be able to sort of cripple them, and then they can't hack you back in their following turn, but for the rest of the game after that, they can be hackable, so that sort of makes just that one sort of kind of link team a little bit more appealing. And the third one is that I thought, like, the Agema missile launcher getting hit in deployment, I thought that should have been a Pano thing. Like, Aleph didn't really need that. It's fine for Atalanta to have it, but the Agema missile launcher just seemed a bit much. I thought that ability should have gone to a unit like the Blackfriar, for example, because Pano, have a lot of MSV, and they have hidden deployment. I thought they should have been the first faction to have both, because then suddenly you are very scary to that bear or whatever that's coming across, because they, you have a stronger response to it than the enemy thought. So there are 3 ideas out there. Which one of those guys, if any, do you guys actually like?
I think I like the hidden deployment template really the most. I think that would be something that would really benefit the faction. The firewall thingy, it's like nullifier pretty much from beforehand. I don't really want to take away options from other factions, other players. That's not really what I would feel like a good faction design, because this is like kind of what Eclipse does, right? It takes options away from your opponent.
Yeah.
Not really giving to you, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think that this would be a good idea. Like, you have to suck it up pretty much. If you take a Hospitalian fire team against Nomads, then it's on you, right? But yeah, I think the third idea of this really being bearing something, yeah, that would really be cool, right? That you could have a anti-warband tech basically. But like about the first part, I just imagine that this guy has like bazooka skirts, like the tanks have those extra wooden blocks, and this orc just has this extra wood in front of him glued so he can deflect the chain rifle shrapnel. I found this was really hilarious, but
Yeah.
it's still a thing that it's still increasing the odds. It's not really helping. It's just making it more dicey. Like I would be much more annoyed to fail the armor 9 save against chain rifle than armor 4. So yeah, I don't think this is the way we should go with more randomness. But like one final thing to say, what would really benefit Pano? I really expected reinforcements. I really wish we could get more breaker ammo options, because after NCA release, right, we got Locust with breaker combi, we had CSUs with breaker combi, and it's basically you are almost the first profiles to get breaker. And I was like, oh, okay. So maybe this is the explanation of PanOceania having the highest tech army. Maybe this is where it comes from. We have this very cool Ammo's breaker. It's very unique. It's extremely powerful. We have Cobras with breaker. Oh shit, might be the PanOceania direction. Like maybe Corvus Belli has the idea of giving breaker almost exclusively to Pano. And then everyone got breaker, and we didn't get any breaker at all after that. I really expected to have like a marksman. So I talked to some of my Polish sweaty guys, basically, what would be my dream profile for reinforcements. And I really dreamed MSV like 1 or 2, mimetism, NCO, 4-4 profile with a fucking breaker marksman rifle, right? I really hoped we'll get a breaker marksman rifle in reinforcements, and this would allow to shred through tags much easier, like shred through bursts pretty much. Or like he can even have, instead of a breaker marksman, like a regular breaker. I can't understand why, for the love of God, like almost I think none of the reinforcements have breaker. And this makes me very, very, very sad, basically, because I thought that this would be the niche that Pano got. Like Hakislam has the viral, Loop Garu had the viral, that's like their namesake pretty much. And I thought we would be the faction to just put breaker on all of stuff. But apparently no.
Nano HMG.
Yeah,
Eustach,
like, exactly, yeah.
Let's just move on. Eustach, Blind Crow, what's on your wish list, guys, for Pano?
I
think that makes the.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
I would just say that. Oh, sorry, you were saying.
You go first.
Yeah, I will just be a bit wary about proliferation of the profiles with hidden deployment and missiles. Like with the amount of them already, like people sometimes are saying that they don't want to play sectorials at all because the fire team got caught. And I kind of like playing sectorials instead of vanilla.
That's a good point.
It's annoying.
Eustach.
Go, Eustach.
Yeah, I don't know. One idea I had was that when you get the blocker with the biovisor, that maybe ITS 15 will buff biovisors somehow, that they, I don't know, give you tactical awareness and some stuff, whatever, marksmanship, like always there is the ITS flavor for some items, for some profiles that are undervalued. That would be cool, I think.
Sneaky?
Yeah, I mean, I think Masloo has it kind of correct. Like, the best way to buff Pano is definitely to make them more unique. So, splashing around more breaker, like giving them cool breaker stuff, like a breaker HMG or like a breaker sniper, cool stuff like that. That's really interesting. Maybe even finding like some extra, like making up some sort of ammo and then making it exclusive to Pano, kind of like T2 is for Ariadna,
Cool.
would be super great, because it gives you like a unique feel about Pano, because it's like, oh, they're the most technological superior, that sort of thing.
The new ammo should automatically see through all kinds of smoke and do additional damage to people who are in smoke. How's that?
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
So I don't know. I also don't like this meme of Pano smoke is a sin. I feel this is just something too much. I know it's just a coping mechanism, and I think this is just too much coping. So I just every time I hear this, I'm reminded of stuff that I don't have. You know, it's like
Yeah.
I feel like this poor person. Like that's, I'm trying to find an analogy, but generally, like I feel like this poor person, and someone's complaining to me that their roof is leaking, and I'm homeless there, basically. It's kind of like that. But yeah, generally, I think PanOceania should get more breaker, and I think the strength is not in tags. It should be in light infantry, basically. So yeah, my wish list would be more light infantry options with breaker ammo, pretty much, like more Cobras.
Cool. All right. We've been going for nearly an hour, so I think we'll wrap it up. Do you guys enjoy talking about Pano on this show, or?
Oh, I did enjoy it more than playing, actually.
Really? Well, what's gonna
Well,
happen?
no. That's kind of just anecdotal joke. But like I said, talking is awesome. So yeah,
Guys, I'm surprised at us. Like these were very low amounts of sound. Like
Same here. So what's going to happen is this is going to go up on YouTube, and if if a lot of people give us some hate mail and really disagree with you guys and just sort of say that your comments are bad for the game, then we'll bring it back.
exactly.
But,
I know that you should have said it.
if it's just an outpouring of love and everybody agrees with you, then you, my friends, are cancelled. All right. So I'll see you on Discord. Catch you guys later.
Have a good one.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.